Okay. Hello, everyone. Janelle left us on our own today. We have no idea what might happen.
Well, the teacher's away. The kids shall play.
Oh, that is how that goes.
We'll wreak havoc in a book club. Woo!
There we
Sounds spicy.
Amy just asked for the website, for the John Acuff website.
I just had it last night. It's John Acuff at me, something like that. I just had it on my phone last night.
I'm gonna put it in the chat. It's acuff.me /soundtrack.
I haven't met anybody who has.
Perfect.
Let's see.
Perfect.
Sorry.
Okay, so last week we were talking about creating soundtracks, and he had provided a, what did he call it? Anthem. He called it an anthem that he had used, or he had created, and he had found, and he had gathered up all these things. So we dropped the anthem into the comments. I know, Jimmy, you had some trouble seeing it. I put it in there again.
I don't know what it is, but I wanted to take a look at them, but they're just, it's black. Sometimes when somebody drops something in, like it's just, I don't know why. It's just a black screen for me. I tried.
Yeah, so I don't know if it worked for anybody else or not, but did anyone actually start that process of saying a soundtrack to themselves every day? I see some smiles. Yes, Jimmy? Yes?
Well, I think it wasn't really on there, but for me, my soundtrack that I'm saying in my head every day is, I'm getting better every day. I'm healing every day. And so that to me is really very deeply, important thing that I say, that when I don't want to maybe eat another salad or take my mud sludge stuff, that I have to drink every day, I just tell my body I'm healing every day. And so, it helps. It helps to keep focused, like on what I'm trying to do. Right. And saying, this is for 3 months. This diet plan that he has me on is for 3 months. I can handle eating bread, not non-bread. We'll just call it non-bread. I don't know what to call it. It's an almond hard blocky thing, but whatever. I'm trying to just when I put goat cheese on my burger, I'm just like, I'm healing every day. And you all are getting grossed out.
No, actually not at all, because I've been there and can do anything for 3 months. Just like Amy said, I can do anything for 3 months.
Yeah. 3 months. I can do it.
Yeah. And the good news is you still get to have the burger, real burger.
I can still have the meat.
Blessings. So I was working on the anthem. I didn't get every morning. I don't know how many I missed, but I got more than half of the mornings. But my evenings are not going like I would hope. The best I'm doing in the evenings is saying it was a good day, and I can find places in the day that I can make that true. And tomorrow's going to be a great day. I haven't got to the I've saved things yet for my new day. He says, the best part is I've left myself a lot of fun things to work on tomorrow. I have not got to that point yet. So who else had some experiences with their anthem last week? Oh, Diana, she's sharp. She says, I journal in the evening, so that's when I do it. That's a really good idea, Diana.
right after I do my journal and my evening meditation and stuff, that's when I have it actually folded up in there, and I sit on the bed and I just read it out loud to myself. And then I also use the check boxes. So I've actually done it for 9 days in a row, morning and night. And it's been incredible at the mind change and what it's doing for my, I want to say, self-esteem and stuff like that. Awesome.
Oh, that's wonderful, Diana. I just,
I'll say something.
yes,
if that
Trisha,
works.
yes.
I took Sharon's soundtrack that she had mentioned, and it's kind of a variation of what's in his book, but I have enough time to do the things that matter today. And honestly, it was a huge mind shift because life is busy, right? And when you go to bed feeling like you're a failure, and you didn't get it all accomplished, kind of connected to what you said, Sherry, I've left some fun things for tomorrow. Your mindset completely shifts. And then it also helps you prioritize what are the things that I do need to get done today. And you get it done.
That's
So, yeah.
awesome, Trish. Oh, and thank you so much for sharing that. That is really, really good.
Mhm.
Anybody else? I listened to a lady yesterday. It was in a coaching call. She said for the last month, she had gone through the Bible and she had found verses relating to abundance, the abundance of God. And she had written them out. She had pages written out in handwriting. And she said 2 to 3 times a week, she gets the opportunity to go to the library for some quiet time away from, she has a large family. She goes to the library and she spends 10 to 15 minutes of her time at the library. She's there maybe a couple of hours, but she spends 10 to 15 minutes walking around, reading them, sitting down, reading them, saying them to herself. And she shared she had had her best month ever. No, she hadn't reached all her goals. She had some big goals and she had not reached all the goals. And she was totally upfront about it. But she says, I have had my best month ever in terms of her business and in terms of her home life. So just like Diana's shared and Trisha's shared, it makes a difference. And I'm going to call you out, Brenna, but I think, Brenna, you do something similar morning and night. I'm just not sure if you do the same words over and over.
Not the same words. And I need a new soundtrack, is what I've discovered this week. And so I'm working on the new soundtrack, and I like the idea of I've left something exciting for tomorrow, because we've got some plans. So some of the work that I do, we develop plans and we submit projects, and then we have to wait like months and months and months. And so this week we found out that one of our projects was approved. And so I'm sitting there going, I don't even remember what's in it. And my initial reaction wasn't the, oh, this is awesome. It was the, I don't remember what we're now going to have to do. And it was like, okay, that's not a good response, Brenna. You need to actually put on a new soundtrack and get yourself into the whole group. So that's where I'm trying to come up with something of what's the exciting piece of what's new to look forward to tomorrow.
Anyone else, anything on their last week's experiences with soundtracks? I'm just finding that every time I think about something, I'm like, is this a soundtrack? Is it a new thought? Is this a soundtrack? Is it true? Is it helpful? Is it kind? And I'd encourage anyone that's been listening and hearing things to share with a friend. I mean, grab somebody and just sort of, even on a daily basis or whatever you can, ask yourselves the questions. Sharon, I'm hoping because you turned on your camera, you have something that you'd like to share.
No, I was making a coffee, I'll be honest. We've got a really nice espresso machine and it was noisy, but I was listening. But I can share. For me, it was essential for me, like I was kind of saying last week, that I had to write it out and I had to tweak it a little bit. Otherwise, I wouldn't have believed it because it didn't sound like me and it didn't sound like where I was at. So I did take time and I did do that. And I've been reading it every morning and every night and whispering it quietly in the mirror because I'm like, oh, I'm going to wake up my kids or my husband's going to hear me. What a weirdo. But it's good. It's the part that I really liked that I've been focusing on is he had like a little bit of his anthem at the end was honesty, generosity, laughter, a few other things will take me through the day.
Yeah.
I really liked that part. For me, I'm like, that's good. I need to remember that going into my day and into my life, that, you know, I'm going to make it through this day with these things, right? And I actually added forgiveness into it too, because I'm like, no, I'm constantly needing to like chill out. Yeah.
That's really good. I remember reading that, Sharon, and I hadn't thought about adding it to that opening piece. That's a really good idea.
Mhm.
So oh yes, Diana, I see your hand.
So I had a soundtrack that went off big time this week. Of course, it all came with the fact that convention is coming up. And there was a post that canceled the convention in Manitoba. And I thought, oh, that's pretty sad. And I had said all along that if they moved it somewhere in Alberta, that I would likely go. Well, lo and behold, they moved it to Red Deer. And Red Deer is about an hour and a half from me. And of course, Cam wasn't home that day. And I got a few invitations. Are you coming? Are you coming? Are you coming? And I was like, oh my God, no, I'm not coming. I can't get to Red Deer. You know, and all the soundtracks. Why would I go? You know, I'm not good enough. Nobody wants to see me. Like, all the soundtracks went off, and it went off constantly all day long. And so I was like, I have to make a decision, but I don't have my partner here to help me to make this decision or to walk me through it. And so I thought, okay, well, they said I've got till June 5th. So that's all good. So anyway, he gets home and I'm thinking, oh, do I just decide this on my own, or do I get his input, or what do I do? Like, again, all these soundtracks are going off in my head. And I decided to share with him. And he's like, oh, honey, you have to go. And I was like, what? I have to go? No. And, you know, we talked through it. And I said, you know what? I am good enough. People do want to meet me. You know, flip that soundtrack around. And we made a plan. And I'm not a person that goes very far by myself. And so we made a plan that he would drive me there, drop me off. You know, I'd get checked in. He'd turn around and come home. He'd work for 2 days. Because he can't get off on Thursday. Otherwise, he would have just came with me and we would have made it a weekend. But he can't get off on Thursday. So he'd work all day Thursday. He's going to grab the dog because it's a pet-friendly hotel. Join me on Thursday evening. And we'll come home Friday after. And I am so excited, you guys. So excited to see you and who's all going to be there. And that soundtrack of, oh God, I can't do this. I can't do anything by myself. It's like, yes, you can. And, you know, I feel so good about it. And it's just been awesome.
Wow, I'm so excited for you, Diana. And I'm so excited for everybody that gets to meet you. Isn't that interesting that how that soundtrack changes us at a cellular level and how we feel?
I was just discussing that with a friend last night, how soundtracks. And she says, you know, because I think she's 70. She said, I still have I still feel insecure. I still, because I was talking about me and some of my issues that I felt this week, and that not being good enough and not being able to do some of the things my friends do and sort of thing. But she says, I still come through a day that, I don't feel good enough and I don't, and that. So I thought, okay, so maybe we need to get together and work on ourselves.
Yeah.
And that. So yeah.
Isn't it interesting that somehow we think magically when you get to that, and I don't know what the age is, but somewhere that those people are all confident, and those people are all know what they're doing, and they're not struggling like we are. Like, what are we thinking? Those people are just us with the same soundtracks, unless we change them. Yes, Amy.
Yeah, because as soon as she said a 70-year-old having, insecurities, I'm like, how can that be? Of course not. Oh, wait a second. I know some people getting close to 70s and they would say that they have some insecurities. Huh. But I don't want to have insecurities when I'm 70. I want to be done with that. And so on more to that, even when you go out in a public place and you look around and there's some people that exude confidence. And there's some people, wallflowery, that don't. But thinking about those people who exude confidence, and you'll note that I didn't include myself in either one of those groups. Huh. Okay. I was just wondering if more of the whole, they put on their outdoor cloak. I am going out, and it doesn't matter if I got puked on by a kid, or if I ripped it on jeans on the fence, or if I think I found the most flattering clothes to hide all of the things that I don't like about myself. But they put that invisible cloak on so that they can function in public. And it has nothing to do with confidence or any of that. It just has to do with their cloak. So, as I thought that, I decided I needed to add a line to my soundtrack. So I wrote down, God has blessed me with this body.
Yeah, it's interesting. I think our perception, we think other people are thinking, is a dangerous thing for all of us, because we're making up that story in our head, and then we're comparing ourselves. And that is where these soundtracks are coming from, because then we're saying them over and over, and the grooves are getting deeper and deeper. So we're finishing the book today. So we're doing chapters 9 and 10. Chapter 9 is all about gathering evidence. And as I've sort of become more aware of these soundtracks, I realized that it doesn't matter what the soundtrack is, I'm busy gathering evidence for it. So whether it makes sense, whether it's true or whether it's not true, I'm gathering evidence. So even if it's a soundtrack that I can't actually buy into 100%, if I invest time gathering evidence for that soundtrack to be true, it becomes more true as I say it over and over. So along that line, it's sort of like everything is always working out for me. Well, I can tell you that if I chose, I could find evidence that that's not true. But I'm choosing to find evidence that it is true. And so one of my examples this week in terms of my evidence hunting was we needed parts in SwiftCurrent. I don't even know if that was this week or not. But anyway, we needed parts in SwiftCurrent. I was going to have to just simply drive in and get these parts. And so just at the last minute, my boots are on, my purse is ready. I'm like, oh, I'm just going to check with Amy and see if there's anything she needs from SwiftCurrent. And I sent her a message and she's like, well, I'm actually in SwiftCurrent. Now, for those of you that don't know, this is 75 miles away, 115 kilometers. This is like a 3 to 4 hour trip for me. And I could just simply say to her, do you have time to go over to this parts place and pick these up? And she's like, yeah, for sure. Parts got back sooner. I didn't have to make a trip. And it was evidence that my soundtrack, everything is always working out for me, was true. As you all know, I could find soundtracks, I could find evidence that it's not true in my week. But if I look for evidence that it's true, it's interesting because it becomes true more often. And so that's the evidence piece. And he talks about a number of these things in this chapter. He refers to the pocket jury, and it's that collection of broken soundtracks that judge your life whenever you dare to be more than you currently are. We've all got pocket juries. So, and I think Linda mentioned somebody that was over 70. I think the pocket juries just get louder and stronger and build up steam as we go through life, unless we take time to dismantle the pocket jury and question the pocket jury. Because the pocket jury is looking for the evidence that things are not true, that your soundtracks are true. That's what your pocket jury is coming from. And the pocket jury is always going to be really good at finding that negative evidence. So we actually don't have to invest much time in that. So anybody have thoughts as they were reading through this gathering evidence chapter?
Last night I was listening to it, and I praise God for, this is going to sound really weird, but Sharon and I have talked about this, and I really actually, this is really hard to say out loud, but in some ways I really praise God for this time. I know that's going to sound really weird to you guys. A lot of people are like, oh my word, Jimmy, oh my goodness, this is horrible, right? And the soundtrack that I'm trying to play in my mind is like, when they say things like that, I'm like, it's all under your control, God knows. And I'm feeling really good. And like, what is this that you want, Lord? Like, what are you trying to do through this time? Like, it sounds so flip the script, right? Like, it's like every time somebody says, oh my goodness, like, what? Horrible. Like, oh my goodness, like, how is right? Like, they're freaking out. And I'm like, I'm not freaking out. I'm just not, right? There's no reason for it. I don't need that. right? But I really feel like that I'm just digging deeper than I've ever dug, right? So I thank the Lord for this time he's giving me to really just press into what he was requiring of my life, right? He understands why I have this. And you know, like I just, yeah, like it's weird, but I've just had more time just to be by myself, be at home playing with the dog, learning to just think about things and why do I think about them and how they affect my body. I'm learning about breathing and how that deep breath is healing to every part of your body, and how important it is that when you start getting kind of stressed about something, just to right, let it go. And because all those things affect my body, and I want my body to be in the best shape it can be to do the healing it needs to be, right? So I just think I love this book so much. I feel like I'm just gonna keep listening to it over and over again. And he's so funny. He is funnier than Seinfeld, okay?
It's funny.
I love that. So, you know, like, I just think, you know, yeah, there's just so many things. I love these last two chapters. I was like, oh man, and here's the thing, here's the bottom line, you guys. Here's the crazy, crazy, crazy thing. There are so many people out there that all they're playing all the time is these terrible soundtracks. And then you wonder why, when you're a leader, like a team leader or whatever, you're all leaders. You all have, you know, people underneath you, or you all have whatever, your children, your family. And you wonder why people don't see healing in their life. Whoa. What soundtrack are they playing right from the get-go of starting their Plexus products? I can almost now, when somebody has that right away, they're like, yeah, I don't know if this is going to work for me. Well, that's what you've played now. And unless you're going to change that, or the good Lord is just going to take that skepticism and turn it on its head and this stuff is going to work. What if it doesn't work for 3, 4, 6, 8? Like, I think it was Eva, 6
months.
6 months?
Eva, yeah.
6
months.
months, you guys. She is a diamond emerald. What did she probably tell herself every day? She went out and she told people, this is good stuff. This is good stuff. It's not working for me yet, but it's good stuff. Can you imagine the soundtrack she had to play in her head, that everybody was thinking, what are you doing, Eva? This is the craziest thing. This company is not even nothing yet. They're taking your money. They're probably going to it's probably going to be like, can you imagine? And look at that woman. She just is, she's just, yeah, she's amazing, right? So, wow, soundtracks can just, they can either take your life down to the pit, or they can take your life to heaven, right? It's like, oh man, it's crazy. It's crazy, the things, the words, right? That we can say to ourselves, and how they affect us on a daily basis. They can affect our body, how our body's going to heal, right? Oh, crazy stuff. Anyways, I'm done.
I think that's absolutely awesome, Jimmy, because you're right. And just to refer to Eva, it was 6 months and suddenly it was a miracle for her body. But until then, she'd never seen anything. She just knew those ingredients were good, and she knew other people were getting success. And she knew that other people that she had shared with were having really good success, even though she wasn't, because their body was not her body. And so you're right. The soundtracks for her would have been challenging. And that's where we're all looking for that other person that we can talk to about those soundtracks, that other person that says, yes, I realize that your soundtrack's a little glitchy today, but think about this. What about this? Have you considered? Into that curiosity mode. I really appreciate you sharing, Jimmy, on your feeling as you're going through this process. And I know Sharon has been so kind to share with us as well. And I think God gives us gifts that sometimes we don't recognize are gifts. And they're gifts so that we can give them to people in our future. And sometimes those gifts involve how we approach old soundtracks and how we learn new soundtracks. Because the soundtracks that we've been playing have got us to where we are. And sometimes he's saying, wake up. This is the soundtrack that brought you here. And there's opportunity for you to go much further as you shift and pivot with those soundtracks. And that's why I love this opportunity to be together and talk about and share the soundtracks that we have, the soundtracks that we've used. For a long time, I had a soundtrack playing about support. After my parents were gone, that I'd lost my support. I'd lost my backing. I'd lost my parents. It was a devastating soundtrack for my physical body. And I was blessed to have people around me who pointed out the error of my thinking and said, but really, no, that's not true. And provided evidence that contradicted that broken soundtrack. And so who we are today comes from those changes and shifts and those people around us that were kind enough to say, honey, that's stinking thinking. So I love that he talks about evidence. And then he says, make a soundtrack stick with a symbol. And so I think this is the piece where we kind of take off in terms of actually grabbing a hold of it and using something to move forward. He talks about a symbol, so whether it's a necklace or a bracelet or something like that. Diana talked about doing the soundtrack at the time that she did her devotions, her journaling. Connecting a soundtrack with something that we do. Somebody else this week talked about soundtracks while they brushed their teeth. While they brushed their teeth is when they did their soundtrack. Morning and night. Repeat the soundtrack. So for those of you here that have been sort of working on this, have you found a soundtrack symbol that works for you or that you're considering? Yes, Diana.
This is mine.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Of course, peace is my word of the year.
Yeah.
And so I leave this rock, and it's really just a rock, sitting out where I can see it. And when I have those soundtracks going through my head, I just know that this is what he wants me to know. And it's okay. And it's probably not true. And I can flip it. And yeah, it's been a wonderful week, actually.
Awesome. I'm so excited you shared your story. That's so good. It's such, sometimes we think our steps that we're taking are just like incremental. They're so tiny. We can't see them. We can't tell. And then all of a sudden a breakthrough happens and it's incredible. And the big step happens. because we've done the little ones.
Well, and I've been blessed with a partner that is a man of God. And he somehow, some way, every single time, if I bring it to him, which I don't always do, but if I bring it to him, he will flip it automatically for me. Like I've just been blessed.
Everything's working out for you, Diana. And I see Cody's put in the chat. She says, I have a stone in my pocket that I rub sometimes consciously, others unconsciously. Yes. Like a touchstone, like a grounding, like that reminder. Anyone else? Sharon? Yeah.
I had to figure out how to unmute myself there. So it's mine. I have a little stone in my pocket that very specifically one of my little girls gave to me. And what it reminds me of really specifically is that God has got house stuff under control, because we came out to BC being like, hey, we're going to go buy a property and build. And then our house didn't sell in Alberta because like God is smarter than we are. That's why it didn't sell. Yeah, so we ended up staying. And then in the meantime, property has went through the roof. It's about doubled here. So we're going, oh my goodness. I don't like, this is out of reach. We were like, do we cancel this dream? And I picked up that stone, or was given that stone, and I stuck it in my pocket in my winter jacket and then my spring jacket the whole time. And every time I would touch it, I would pray and say, God, you've got this under control. You are way ahead of us on this. Like, how, after what I've been through and all the evidence that I have, that you've got these things under control. Can I be worried that I'm not going to even have a place to live? Right. And yeah, it's just cool seeing that come to fruition, because it's actually Easter weekend. We ended up getting a property that, like, even the lawyer is asking us as we're signing the papers, and the real estate agent, they're like, how did you get this for this price? And it's beautiful. It's half an acre. It's Lakeview. It's like ideal location, the whole thing. Yeah, big enough to do what we want to do, the whole thing, right? So God is way ahead of us, and it's still scary because I'm like, oh, but you know, lumber prices are like all over the place, and trades and blah blah blah. It's scarce, which I hear every day, because that's what my hubby does, is he's a builder. So it's just trusting during a very tumultuous time, and tumultuous politically, and also the reality that's going on, that it's okay. It is okay. God is so ahead of us on this, and whatever is going to be will be. And it's, that rock is just a reminder to me that everything is always working out for us, but that's going to look like what he thinks it should look like, not what I think it should look like. So yeah, I've got a little tiny rock. There's nothing special about it. And then I've had other stuff too in my life, but that's like a current one.
I love that. Anyone else have one or something?
I don't, but that's a great idea. I need to find something like, yeah, that would be meaningful, and that I would remember that that's what it's about. Yeah. And that, so.
You know, another one too that he mentioned, he was probably just mentioning it off the cuff, is Starbucks mugs. This is like my past life from a long time ago, before children. I would do that. I would buy those city mugs, every single country and every single city I was in. And they're all slowly breaking now because they're like 20 years old. But I had a massive collection of Starbucks mugs that were like the city mugs from Paris, from Rome, from all of the different places, Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, Singapore, all of these places that I had been, because I would go and I would pick up a mug all the time. And it was, even back then, before I was conscious of soundtracks, so that's my early 20s, it was a reminder of who I was becoming, that I had come from someone who hadn't seen anything to someone who was pursuing this other thing. And that it was just a reminder. Every morning when I would have a cup of tea, it was a reminder, right? And I would actually choose the mug before my kids and they started all breaking, I would choose the mug that made me want to think of the memories in that specific place in that specific city that morning, for what would give me kind of strength for what I figured I was going to have to face that day. So it's kind of weird, but I did that.
That's cool. I was really thinking about this last night, and I don't have a tattoo yet. I was like, you know what? I feel like a rebel right now. I should just get a tattoo, and then I started thinking, what would where would I put it, and how, oh, it hurts. Oh, I don't know if I want that. I don't know if I want that, right? But I was like, maybe I'll get, but I like that too. Like, choose joy. That to me is really profound for me. It's like, I'm going to choose joy. That's really simple. But I liked, and screen on your screen. I know that's something that on my phone, I have a picture of my boys. So, and they're both smiling boys, right? So it's pretty huge when you get both of them smiling at once. They're arm wrestling. So maybe that's the smile more. But that to me, it was like, okay, I love that picture. But I was like, yeah, like I want to have, like, in my mind, I feel like there's certain things I want to obtain, with my business. I was thinking about, I have a tank top. I was actually going to wear it this morning, but it's a little cool outside. It's a tank top that Shannon brought back to me from maybe Orlando. I don't think I went that year because mom passed away, and and I can't remember exactly what the whole thing was, but she brought me back a tank top, and that tank top was the thing that every time I put that tank top on, it was green. And it said, what is it? Diamonds are something about diamonds, but it wasn't diamonds are made from I don't know, something about. And that tank top was so important to me. That green just shot at me. It was like, I'm going to get to emerald. I'm going to get to emerald. I'm going to get to emerald. Right. So that was the shirt, right? That was the tank top that I wore, and I wore it with pride. And now it's like ratty and everything. So I need another one. I need one that has blue. It's a blue one or something, right? But whatever it is that helps you to get, sorry, somebody's mowing their grass. Maybe you can hear me. Hopefully you can still hear me. Whatever it is, right? If it's a rock or a picture or a tattoo or a shirt, right? But yeah, he had great ideas. I liked the dog tags. I thought, okay, well, that's kind of simple, but not for me, because it would feel cold underneath, right? I wouldn't like that. But, or bracelets, right? Like I was like, bracelets you can get made, you can get lots of things put on a bracelet, right? It could be even, that you could have beads that have each color is significant to something that you're trying to overcome, right? There's so many ideas, and it's kind of exciting because I'm like, I really want to work on this, especially right now in this season of my life. Like, what do I need to have in front of me all the time? So yeah, I love it. I need ideas on a tattoo. No, I'm kidding. I don't think I'll get a tattoo.
I think another piece of that is that the symbol that we use today might be our symbol for the next 3 months, or it might be our symbol for this year. Like you're talking about, your word of the year, or it might be our symbol for this week or this morning, because it's the coffee cup that somebody gave us or that we got when we were connected to a certain place that makes us feel good. So I think we can choose symbols that suit our needs at the time, which I think is really, really valuable. I love what he says here. I think it's page 214. He says, do you know what happens when you listen to new soundtracks? He says, you give your dreams more time, creativity, and productivity. And it gives that space for that dream to grow and come forward. So I don't have any magic words as we're closing this off. I'm actually kind of sad that We're coming to the end of soundtracks. And yet I feel like it's been such a incredible process, such an incredible time of awareness and of growth. And I'm really appreciating the examples of moving forward that have been shared today, because I think that's what these are all about, is that moving forward piece. So if anybody else has something that they would like to share, just kind of their whole concept on the book, I'd love to hear it. And I've made sure we have time for whoever would like to share.
I just thought the book was really good for a reminder to just tune into what we're thinking, because we all need that reminder, right? That's not a new concept to me, to any of us here, right? But it was good just to tune into, okay, what am I thinking now, right now, right? And why am I thinking that? And what should I be thinking instead?
Yeah. Or
Right.
what could I be? Or is there another way to think?
Yeah, because it's a light read in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
But logical, like, yeah, good, useful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm gonna go like get dressed and do my hair because I have something to do today, but I am gonna listen till the end. I'm just gonna turn off the camera.
Oh, Sharon, that's so funny because I thought your hair was done and your makeup was done and you were like all ready for the day. Like, how
No,
come I can't look like Sharon?
Done. Fine. I'm going wine tasting all day, but I gotta go get my hair a little nicer. So
Okay, well, thank you, Sharon. And with that, the book we're starting next week is The Slight Edge. And I think Soundtracks has set us up incredibly well for this book, The Slight Edge. Now, words like this always worry me a little. Now what am I going to have to do? So you can see how the soundtracks are playing in my head already. However, I've got the book. I started to read it and it's like, oh my goodness. The concepts in here are such a great follow through on soundtracks. So building on soundtracks, whether you did or didn't come, did or didn't read the book, and whether you are or aren't going to read the book on Slight Edge, join us, listen to it, and I think we're going to find some really, really cool stuff. And it's a much lighter read than I thought it was going to be. I was like, oh. So you see, those soundtracks, they get us all, but it's actually pretty cool. Anyone else want to add anything? The book club will be same time, same place, same number. Hopefully more people. And we'll probably have our fearless leader back to keep us in line. Thank you. Thank you, everybody. We'll stop the recording.